only took the job of watering my friend's plants as a simple 2-week favor while she was out of town. I was meticulously following her instructions, focused only on keeping the house looking lived in. The routine shattered the moment the neighbor, Mr. Henderson, walked up. He didn't ask about her trip. He looked straight at me, holding the watering can, and asked, "Where's your husband? I haven't seen him around the yard since Tuesday." Now I'm trapped inside a dangerous assumption. I need to urgently figure out why this man thinks I live here, and who the husband he keeps mentioning is, before my friend's sudden, quiet disappearance is fully exposed. But the closer I get to uncovering the truth of her absence, the clearer it becomes that the neighbor isn't just confused, he's watching, and I may have just walked directly into a massive cover-up. I adjusted the watering can, trying to shield Mrs. Gable's prized orchids from the midday sun. Peter, the retired contractor from apartment 4B, leaned over the dividing railing. "Good morning. Nice of you to help Mrs. Gable out," he commented. I nodded. "She's family." Peter hesitated, rubbing his chin. "Yeah, I know. But listen, I haven't seen your husband around since last Tuesday. I was wondering, where is he? I thought he was supposed to be doing this while you were at the conference." My smile froze. "The conference? What are you talking about, Peter? I haven't been to a conference in 3 months. Peter frowned, clearly confused. "Oh, well, Mark told me last week he was rushing off to a quick conference, maybe in Atlanta. Said he'd be back by Friday, and that he'd cover Mrs. Gable's watering schedule while you were gone. He hadn't been to Atlanta. He had told me he was on a mandatory remote work retreat out in the mountains, no cell service, ending Friday evening. He explicitly told me not to worry about the plants. He'd handle them when he got back." "Right. Must have been a misunderstanding," I lied smoothly, feeling the blood drop from my face. "He got delayed. I should get going." I dropped the watering can on the deck and hurried back to our apartment, my phone already unlocked. He was due home tonight. The remote work retreat excuse felt thinner than paper. I slammed the front door shut and went straight for his desk. I wasn't going to wait 3 hours for his grand return. I snatched his work laptop. I didn't bother checking his email, too easy to delete. I remembered the secondary burner phone he kept for international clients. He had been oddly protective of his golf bag lately. I found it tucked into the side pocket, wrapped in a dirty towel. It was on. No password. Skipped the texts. I went straight to the camera roll. There it was. Not just one photo, but an entire album titled Atlanta Getaway. He wasn't alone. He was sitting poolside at a luxury hotel, laughing. Beside him, leaning intimately into his shoulder, was Sarah, the new accountant from the 3rd floor, the one he claimed was annoying and too ambitious, and who needed constant hand-holding at work. The final confirmation wasn't the picture itself. It was the timestamp on the video clip of them clinking champagne glasses. Tuesday night, 11:30 p.m., the exact time he had supposedly been trekking to a remote cabin with no cell service. He didn't go to Atlanta for a conference. He went for a private party, and he made sure Peter believed I was the one away, solidifying his cover story. I put the phone back in the golf bag. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. My hands were perfectly steady. I looked at the clock. He would walk through that door in 4 hours, tired and ready to lie again. 4 hours. That was enough time to prepare everything. I went straight to the home office. No sound, no pacing. Time was the currency now. First call, Ms. Davies, my divorce attorney. I hadn't needed her in 3 years, but good people are worth keeping on speed dial. Ms. Davies, I need a nuclear separation, effective immediately. I have proof of infidelity and financial deception. I need joint assets frozen, and the mortgage restructured today, if possible. She didn't ask how. She only asked what time the transfer confirmation would arrive. Efficiency. I emailed her the relevant screenshots from the burner phone, focusing on the dates and locations that contradicted his business trip itinerary. Next, the bank. I initiated the transfer of the emergency fund and the personal inheritance account. Money he thought was still tied up in slow-moving stocks. It hit my new private account within 10 minutes. That was liquidity. I changed the passwords on all our shared utility accounts, redirecting the billing statements to my private email. I needed the house running, but I needed control. 90 minutes had passed. The financial front was secured. Now, the physical preparation. I went to the master bedroom closet. I pulled out the largest suitcase, the one he used for long international trips. I didn't pack clothes he loved. I packed clothes he needed. 3 suits, a week's worth of underwear, his running shoes, his toiletries bag. I placed the loaded suitcase neatly by the back door, out of sight from the living room. I walked back to the office, took the burner phone, and wrapped it in a plastic freezer bag. I slipped it into the small, hidden safe under the floorboards, the one he always assumed contained only old passports and my grandmother's ring. Evidence secured. I still had 2 hours. I needed to set the scene. A trap is best sprung when the victim is comfortable. I started dinner. Not just any dinner. His favorite. Lasagna, rich and heavy, the smell filling the house with false domestic warmth. I pulled a bottle of the expensive Bordeaux he'd been saving. I set the table meticulously. 2 plates, good silverware. Then, I stopped by the bathroom mirror. I needed to look tired, relieved he was home, maybe a little too happy. I practiced the small, weary smile. It was perfect. It conveyed relief, not rage. The front door opened exactly at 6:45 p.m. The sound of his keys hitting the ceramic bowl on the entryway table. "Honey, I'm home." God, that flight was awful. And the cabin service? Forget about it. Absolutely miserable trek. His voice was loud, hearty, full of feigned exhaustion. He dropped his briefcase near the sofa. I walked out of the kitchen, wiping my hands on a towel. I was wearing the comfortable gray sweater he liked. "Welcome back, darling." I walked up and gave him a brief, standard hug, quick, efficient, pulling back before he could register the stiffness in my posture. "I missed you. How was Atlanta?" He sighed deeply, rubbing the back of his neck. "Brutal. Long hours. I swear, they only scheduled the conference so they could justify making us drive that far into the mountains. Cell service was non-existent, just like I said." He was committed to the lie. "Good. Well, you smell like airports and lies," I said, keeping the tone light, teasing. "Go shower." I made lasagna, and I opened the 2018 Bordeaux. His eyes lit up. This was the moment of confirmation that I was playing my role perfectly. He expected me to be annoyed, distant, or overly emotional. Instead, I was offering a reward for his fake hardship. "Lasagna? You're spoiling me." He leaned down for a proper kiss, which I allowed, brief and dry. "I'll be quick. Don't let the wine breathe too long." He went upstairs. I heard the shower start. I walked back to the dining room table. I picked up my wedding ring from the counter. I opened the small box where I keep my spare keys and dropped the ring inside. I didn't want it on my finger when I served him the meal. I took the piping hot lasagna out of the oven. The smell was incredible. I poured the wine. The table was set. The mood was manufactured perfection. When he came downstairs 10 minutes later, clean and relaxed in a fresh shirt, he looked genuinely pleased. "This is exactly what I needed," he said, pulling out his chair. I sat opposite him. I served him a generous portion of the lasagna. I served myself only wine. "Aren't you eating?" he asked, already taking a large bite. "I had a late lunch, stress eating. You know how it is when you're gone, I said, leaning my chin on my hand, looking sympathetic. He chewed, satisfied. I know, babe. It's tough on us both. But it's done now, back to normal. I picked up my wine glass and raised it slightly. To normal, I echoed. He clinked his glass against mine, smiling. He took a long sip of the Bordeaux. I waited until he had finished half his plate, enjoying the flavor and the comfort of the familiar kitchen. He was entirely unguarded. I put my wine glass down gently. Before you get too comfortable, I started, my voice clear and low. We need to discuss the itinerary for your trip. He paused, a forkful of lasagna halfway to his mouth. His smile tightened. What about it? It was a disaster, but it's done. Oh, the Atlanta part was probably fine, I conceded. The party in Buckhead looked fun. You missed a great picture opportunity, though. His face went white. The fork dropped onto the plate with a dull thud. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered, his eyes darting toward his briefcase, then toward the golf bag by the door. Don't bother reaching for the golf bag, darling. I already borrowed your phone. I watched his panic rise. It's a lovely little burner, really. Very discreet. Except you forgot to log out of the shared album with Ms. Peters' sister. And you certainly shouldn't have tagged the location of that remote cabin as a luxury spa resort in the city limits. He pushed back from the table, knocking his chair slightly. This is insane. You hacked my phone? That's illegal. It's our joint marital property legally, I corrected calmly. And, besides, darling, illegal or not, it's done. You spent 4 days convincing our friends that I was the one away, so you could spend time with her without interruption. You didn't go to a conference. You went to a private villa to sleep with your assistant. His chest was heaving. He tried to muster indignation. You have no right to accuse me of this. I work myself to death for this family. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? I don't have to accuse you. I finally reached into my pocket and pulled out a single sheet of paper, the bank transfer confirmation, showing the large sum I moved this afternoon. I laid it flat next to his plate. I have proof. I have the evidence secured, and my lawyer has already filed the papers with the court. I leaned forward slightly, resting my elbows on the table. This marriage is over. You have exactly 10 minutes to finish your wine, or leave it, and walk out that back door. Your suitcase is waiting for you. He looked from the paper to the half-eaten lasagna. The heat of the rage finally broke through his shock. You think you can just kick me out? This is my house. I pay for everything, he roared, standing up, knocking his chair over completely this time. Actually, it's our house, and the equity is secured. I pointed toward the back door. The locks are being changed tomorrow, morning at 8. If you are here, I will call the police and file a restraining order based on the evidence of deception and the financial accounts I have already frozen. You won't have access to anything until the court grants an interim distribution. He stood there, towering over the table, his eyes blazing, but completely paralyzed. He saw the cold logic in my eyes. He realized the trap was airtight. He took one desperate look around the beautiful kitchen, smelling the expensive wine and the comfort he had just destroyed. You'll regret this, he hissed. No, I won't, I replied flatly. I regret marrying a man who thinks loyalty is negotiable. I regret wasting my best years on a lie. He walked past the dining room, picking up his briefcase, then hesitated by the back door where the large suitcase sat. He opened the door without a word, grabbed his bag, and stepped out onto the patio. I didn't watch him leave the property. I just listened to the sound of the door closing firmly behind him. I waited until the engine of his car faded into the distance. Then, I stood up, picked up his plate with the abandoned lasagna, and dumped the entire thing, food, sauce, and the last of the expensive Bordeaux, into the trash bin. I sat back down at the table, alone, and finish the rest of the wine. It tasted like freedom. I checked my watch. 9:45 p.m. Too late for a friendly call, but Richard, my divorce lawyer, was accustomed to late-night emergencies. I found his cell under Emergency Legal and hit call. He answered on the third ring, sounding professionally groggy. "Eleanor, is everything okay?" "It's done, Richard," I said, keeping my voice level. "He left the property 20 minutes ago. I need you to initiate everything right now. Tonight." "Tonight?" "Yes. File the temporary restraining order on the joint accounts first thing. Pull the equity freeze request on the house. I want him served with the initial separation papers by noon tomorrow." Richard paused. "That's aggressive, Eleanor. Are we sure we don't want to wait until morning to draft the terms?" "I'm sure," I snapped. "You have the dossier I sent you last week. Use the maximum allowable demand based on the prenup violation clause. We don't negotiate, Richard. We present." "Understood. I'll get the system processing the holds. I'll call the courier service now for the serving papers. Do you have a location for him?" "He's staying with his mother, I assume. If not, his office. Find him. I don't care where." I hung up before he could ask another procedural question. The house felt too silent now, too large. That silence was productive. I walked straight to the security panel. I changed the front door code, the garage code, and the alarm bypass sequence. Then I deactivated his thumbprint access entirely. He was locked out of his safe haven permanently. Next, I went upstairs. His side of the master closet was still full. I didn't bother sorting. I grabbed the 3 largest suitcases we owned, the expensive aluminum ones he loved to show off, and started emptying his drawers directly into them. Suits, ties, socks, underwear, just dumped. I found his passport, his emergency cash stash from the lining of a jacket, and his spare car key fob. All went into a small box labeled Essentials. I paused only when I got to the shelf where he kept his trophies. Golf awards, a terrible Employee of the Month plaque from 5 years ago. I put those in a separate bin. They were staying. They looked better in the trash. I finished packing by midnight. The 3 suitcases and the Essentials box sat neatly by the front door. He wasn't getting past that point. I didn't feel tired. I felt focused. I took a quick shower, washing away the smell of the ruined dinner, and went to bed. I didn't sleep much, but I rested. The next morning, I was up at 5 a.m. I made a pot of strong coffee and stood in the kitchen, watching the sunrise over the yard he spent thousands maintaining. Richard called at 7:30 a.m. "Good morning, Eleanor. The injunctions are active. He has access to nothing beyond a small weekly allowance we specified. The papers are being served right now at his office. We also located the apartment she rented." "Good," I said, sipping my coffee. "Did you secure the rental agreement copies?" "Yes, they list her name, but his corporate credit card paid the first 6 months' rent. We have the proof of cohabitation and financial support." "Excellent. Now, for the next phase. I need you to find the name of the real estate agent who handled the transaction for that apartment." Discreetly. "Why the agent?" Richard asked, his tone wary. "Because they handle documents. They know the closing timeline. I want to know exactly when he planned to move her in permanently, not just casually. I'll have my team work on it. It might take until tomorrow. Make it happen faster, Richard. Time is money, and in this case, time is leverage." I hung up and put my phone on the counter. I had a full workday ahead. I ran my own consulting firm, and while I had just dismantled my marriage, I wasn't about to dismantle my career. Around 11 a.m., my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, my assistant, Sarah, texted me. "Your husband is trying to reach you. He sounds hysterical. I texted back, "Ignore him, forward all. His emails to Richard. Do not answer his calls." The unknown number called again immediately. I finally picked up. "What?" I kept my tone clipped, purely transactional. It was Daniel. His voice was ragged, laced with disbelief. "Eleanor, what the hell is this? I just got served. A restraining order? Freezing my accounts? This is insane. You can't do this." "I just did it, Daniel," I said. "You should talk to Richard. He's your new point of contact." "I don't need a lawyer. I need my money. How am I supposed to function? My corporate card is declined." "That's a consequence of violating the contractual agreement of our marriage, Daniel. You chose to fund your mistress's lifestyle instead of honoring our partnership." I simply chose to cut off the funding source. It was a mistake, a momentary lapse. We can talk about this. Don't ruin me. You ruined yourself. You had 6 months to end it cleanly. You didn't. You lied to my face while I paid for your future mistake. Now you deal with the consequences. I heard a sharp intake of breath on his end, a sound like a small, wounded animal. "I'm coming home. We are fixing this face to face." "No, you're not," I corrected him calmly. "The locks are changed, the codes are useless, and your belongings are currently sitting on the front porch. The security cameras are recording. If you step onto the property, you violate the protective measures and Richard will notify the police. Your keys are in the box by the door. Pick up your luggage and leave." The line went dead. He hadn't said goodbye. He hadn't apologized. He had only focused on the loss of access and money. That confirmed everything I needed to know. I put the phone down, feeling a genuine surge of relief. The confrontation was over, clean and brutal, exactly as planned. 2 hours later, Richard called again. "He picked up the luggage," Richard reported. "The security footage confirms it." He looked distressed. "Good work, Eleanor. Now about that real estate agent. My team found him. His name is Mark Jansen. I've arranged for a confidential meeting this evening at a neutral location. You should go, not me. He'll talk more freely to the injured party than to the legal counsel." "Send me the address," I said instantly. "I'll be there." I spent the rest of the afternoon handling real work, finalizing a major deal for a client, keeping my mind sharp and distracted. By 6 p.m., I was driving across town. Mark Jansen was a slick, nervous man in his late 20s, overdressed in a suit too tight for him. We met in a quiet, anonymous hotel lobby bar. "Thank you for meeting me, Mr. Jansen," I said, sliding a small, unmarked envelope across the table. It contained $5,000 cash. "This is for your time and discretion." He didn't touch the envelope immediately, but his eyes definitely did. "I appreciate it, Mrs. Thorne. I really shouldn't be discussing clients, but Richard assured me this was high necessity." "It is. Daniel is fighting the separation, claiming everything was spur of the moment. I know that's a lie. I need you to confirm the timeline of the lease signing for the 14th Street property, and the terms." Mark swallowed hard, finally picking up the envelope and sliding it into his jacket. "It was signed 6 weeks ago, Mrs. Thorne. The lease was a standard 12-month agreement." "And the furnishings? Was the apartment empty?" "It was unfurnished. But Mr. Thorne was very specific. He wanted it ready for occupation immediately. He used a premium interior design service, and everything was moved in 2 weeks before. Ms. Peterson was scheduled to transition." My chest tightened, but my expression remained neutral. 6 weeks ago, Daniel and I had been planning a trip to Italy for our anniversary. He had been planning her move-in. "Scheduled to transition?" I repeated. Mark nodded, lowering his voice conspiratorially. He told me it was a secret business investment he was preparing. He said she was coming in to manage the new venture. He was quite clear. He wanted the lease finalized and possession secured before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was 3 weeks away. That was the timeline. That was when he planned to tell me, or more likely, simply disappear for the holiday, leaving me alone. Did he discuss purchasing the property? He mentioned it as a long-term goal. He planned to buy the entire building and convert it into high-end rentals once the divorce was finalized. Mark looked genuinely uncomfortable now. He seemed very confident that the divorce would be finalized quickly. Thank you, Mark. This information is invaluable. I stood up, offering a cold handshake. You won't hear from me again. You didn't see me here tonight. I drove home feeling a new, cold clarity. It wasn't just a fling. It was a planned, deliberate replacement. He hadn't just cheated. He had budgeted for my disposal. I called Richard from the car. Richard, move the serving date for the second round of papers up. I want the full asset division proposal filed by the end of the week. Add a clause demanding punitive damages based on premeditated abandonment and financial malfeasance in preparation for separation. Punitive damages? We'd have to prove malice, Eleanor. We have the proof, I stated firmly. He secured an apartment, fully furnished, 6 weeks ago, explicitly planning to move her in, before Thanksgiving. That demonstrates a clear, malicious intent to financially and emotionally abandon the marital relationship at a predetermined date. We hit him with everything we have. We leave him nothing. Consider it done, Richard said, a hint of professional excitement in his voice. He just tried to call me, by the way. He's demanding access to the safety deposit box. The one we set up to hold the antique family jewelry? Yes. Tell him the box is empty. I moved the contents to a private vault yesterday morning. You are relentless, Eleanor. Good. I arrived back at the silent house. It didn't feel like a house anymore. It felt like a stronghold. My stronghold. I realized I hadn't eaten since the previous morning. The abandoned lasagna was long gone. I wasn't hungry for expensive food. I opened a package of instant ramen, boiled the water, and ate standing by the stove. As I ate, I pulled up Daniel's business calendar, the shared one he had forgotten to block me from. It was mostly filled with generic meetings, but 3 days from now, there was a block labeled Client Dinner Confidential. I knew exactly who the client was. I pulled up the reservation confirmation that Richard had forwarded me earlier, detailing the money he spent on the apartment. It included receipts for a specific, exclusive restaurant downtown, the kind of place Daniel only took people he wanted to impress or seduce. He was taking her out. His first date as a single man, 3 days after being served divorce papers. This could not stand. My plan was to dismantle his life legally, but I needed to dismantle his ego publicly. I texted Richard. I need the name of his current assistant, the one who handles his scheduling. Richard replied instantly, Lisa. Why? I need a favor from her. A big one. The next morning, I called Lisa directly, bypassing Daniel's blocked number. Lisa, it's Eleanor Thorne. We need to talk about the dinner reservation for Friday night. Lisa sounded terrified. Mrs. Thorne, I don't think I can discuss Mr. Thorne's private schedule. I know it's for Ms. Peterson, Lisa, and I know you just scheduled a major event for him, and you are terrified about who pays for it now that his cards are frozen. A beat of silence. Yes, ma'am. He's furious. He wants to know if the office account is still active for essential business. The office account is active for office supplies and payroll, not for expensive dinners with his girlfriend. Now, here's the deal, Lisa. I'm going to cover your salary and bonus for the next 3 months personally, outside of the firm, if you do exactly what I tell you. What do I need to do? She whispered. I need you to show up at that restaurant, the Summit, 30 minutes before Daniel and Ms. Peterson arrive on Friday. I need you to go to the maitre d' and change the name on the reservation. Change it to my name, Eleanor Thorne. That's all? No. That's the preparation. When they arrive, the maitre d' will seat them under my reservation. Then, I need you to call me, confirm they are seated, and then you leave. You don't see, me. You don't see Daniel. You go home and you wait for your bonus. Mrs. Thorne, what are you planning? I'm planning to have a very important conversation with my husband and his new companion. A conversation about loyalty, money, and poor life choices. Lisa agreed. The fear of unemployment, or maybe the desire to see Daniel suffer, was stronger than her corporate loyalty. Friday night. I dressed in a simple, sharp black suit. No jewelry, no makeup meant to seduce. This was a professional execution. Lisa texted me at 7:05 p.m. They are at the table, booth 4. Good luck. I parked 2 blocks away and walked, letting the cold air sharpen my resolve. The summit was one of those places that oozed exclusivity. I handed the coat check my jacket, walked past the bar, and spotted them immediately. Daniel was in a dark suit, laughing, looking relaxed for the first time in days. She was wearing a red dress, looking significantly younger and smugly possessive. They had menus open, probably ordering the most expensive bottle of champagne. I approached their booth quietly. "Good evening, darling," I said, my voice cutting through the soft jazz music. Daniel's head snapped up so fast I thought he might get whiplash. The laughter died instantly. His face went gray. The other woman, Ms. Peterson, looked annoyed, then confused. "Who?" I ignored her. I slid into the empty seat opposite Daniel, leaning forward, resting my hands on the pristine white tablecloth. "I see you finally managed to get a decent table, Daniel," I said, picking up the wine list. "I hope you weren't planning on paying for this, considering your accounts are frozen." He stammered, his eyes darting frantically around the crowded restaurant. "Eleanor, what are you doing here? This is not appropriate. Get up!" "I'm enjoying my dinner reservation," I countered, waving over the waiter. "I booked this table after all." The waiter arrived, looking nervous as he recognized the high-profile drama unfolding. "I'll have the Chateau Lafite 2008, please," I told him, pointing to the most expensive bottle on the list. "And please send 2 glasses of tap water to the gentleman and his guest. They won't be needing the wine." The woman in red finally found her voice. "Who the hell are you?" I looked at her directly for the first time, giving her a slow, dismissive appraisal. "I'm Eleanor Thorne, Daniel's soon-to-be ex-wife, and you, I assume, are the temporary placeholder Daniel uses to vent his midlife frustrations." "We're together now," she retorted, trying to sound confident, but her voice cracked. "Together?" I laughed, a short, sharp sound devoid of humor. "Daniel, did you tell her the part about your corporate card being declined this week? Or the part about how I currently own 90% of your liquid assets and 100% of your future earning potential until the divorce settlement is finalized?" Daniel slammed his hand on the table, his composure finally breaking. "Stop it, Eleanor. You're making a scene." "I am making a point, Daniel. A very expensive point." I reached into my purse and pulled out a stack of documents, placing them on the table between the salt and pepper shakers. "These are the revised asset distribution papers. Richard filed them this afternoon. We're demanding the full punitive measure. You won't be buying buildings for her, darling. You'll be struggling to pay the rent on your mother's basement." Ms. Peterson's eyes went wide, flicking from the documents to Daniel. "What is she talking about, Daniel? You said the divorce was amicable. You said you were rich." "I am rich. She's bluffing. She can't just take everything," Daniel pleaded. I leaned back, savoring the moment. "Oh, but I can. You breached the fidelity clause, Daniel, and you did it with malice and premeditation. I have proof of the apartment lease, the move-in timeline, and your financial planning to abandon the marriage 6 weeks ago. That constitutes fraud, and in this state, fraud costs everything." I looked at the woman in red. He used his corporate account to fund your lavish lifestyle, which is now considered theft from a marital asset pool. Enjoy the 2 weeks you have left in that apartment, sweetie. I already notified the landlord that the corporate lease funding is terminated, effective immediately. Consider yourself evicted by the end of the month. She gasped, pushing away from the table. You snake! You lying bastard! She stood up, grabbing her small clutch. You told me you were already separated. You told me she was crazy. I am crazy, darling, I confirmed to her, smiling sweetly. Crazy rich and crazy thorough. The woman didn't look back at Daniel. She stormed out of the restaurant, leaving the remnants of the planned romantic evening behind. Daniel stared at me, his face pale and twisted with pure hatred. You manipulative bitch. You destroyed me. No, Daniel, I said, picking up the menus the waiter had dropped earlier. You destroyed yourself the moment you thought loyalty was optional and I was stupid. You should have honored your vows, or at least respected my intelligence. I stood up, adjusting my suit jacket. The Chateau Lafite arrived at the table. The waiter looked expectantly at the empty chair where Ms. Peterson had been sitting. Pour me 1 glass, I instructed the waiter. The rest you can keep. I've lost my appetite. I took the glass of impossibly expensive wine, raised it slightly toward Daniel, who was frozen in his seat, ruined, and took a slow, deliberate sip. Consider this the final toast to your incompetence, I said. Don't bother calling. The divorce is non-negotiable. Enjoy the solitude. I walked out, leaving him alone at the expensive table, facing the stack of papers that detailed the loss of his entire life. The wine tasted better than freedom. It tasted like absolute sweet victory. I walked straight to my car, already planning the next step, listing the house for sale. I needed a fresh start, and I needed his signature. I knew exactly how to get it now. I pulled the car onto the main street and immediately dialed Marcus. 3 rings. Marcus, it's me. I need the house listed first thing tomorrow. Aggressively. Full price, cash buyer preferred, quick closing. Whoa, Sarah, what happened? To the wait 6 months plan? Did David finally agree to the renovation costs? Marcus sounded confused, but professionals like him understood urgency meant money. David is indisposed, I stated, keeping my voice level. He is currently facing a significant life adjustment. I have full control, and I guarantee you the listing agreement will be signed by the end of the day tomorrow, no matter what it takes. Do you want the commission or not? Consider it listed by sunrise, he said, his tone shifting instantly to sharp business. Send me the key code for the lockbox tonight. Photo shoot at 9 a.m. sharp. I'll draft the listing agreement right now. I hung up, feeling the adrenaline settle into pure, cold focus. When I got back to the house, it was dark and silent. David wasn't home yet. Good. I went straight to the garage, pulled out the emergency toolkit, and changed the codes on the garage door and the front security panel. I then replaced the cylinders on the back door and the master bedroom suite. It took 15 minutes. He was effectively locked out of half his belongings. Next, I went to the guest room closet. I had packed 3 large moving boxes with his essential clothes and toiletries a week ago, just after the initial discovery. I taped them shut and labeled them simply, David, Law Office, PU. The silence of the house was deafening, but satisfying. This wasn't grief. It was logistics. I emailed my lawyer, Rebecca. Subject: executed confrontation and immediate next steps. Rebecca, the confrontation went exactly as planned. He knows everything. I served the divorce papers and the finalized separation agreement detailing the prenup enforcement tonight. I have changed the locks at the residence and packed his essentials. The house is listed for sale, effective immediately. We need him to sign the listing agreement and the immediate financial disclosures tomorrow. He will be calling you frantic. I suggest we schedule a meeting at your office at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Do not let him contact me directly before then. Within 5 minutes, Rebecca replied, 2 p.m. confirmed. I've anticipated his call. Stay strong. We win. I poured a glass of water, sat at the kitchen island, and waited for the, inevitable. It was 10:45 p.m. The first attempt wasn't a call. It was a barrage of texts. David. Sarah, listen to me. This is insane. David. You can't just do this. We need to talk. David. I made a mistake. A huge one, I know. But we can fix this. Please. David. I'm outside. The code isn't working. Sarah, let me in. I ignored them all. He was testing the boundaries. He needed to understand that the boundary was now a concrete wall, enforced by legal documents. The phone rang at 11:30 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. He left a hysterical message, slurring slightly, demanding to know where his suit bags were, claiming I couldn't lock him out of his own house. I texted him back, breaking the silence just once. Your lawyer, Rebecca Stone, 2 p.m. tomorrow. Sign the documents or the full evidence package goes to your board. Silence. That hit him where it hurt, his career. He valued the perception of success more than he ever valued me. The next morning, I was up before dawn. Marcus's assistant confirmed the photographer was en route. I had already finished coffee and was reviewing the final clause in the prenuptial agreement regarding joint property disposal under terms of infidelity. Ironclad. I spent the morning cleaning. Not scrubbing for presentation, but cleaning out him, shredding old joint tax forms, deleting, shared calendars, removing his side of the medicine cabinet. By 1 p.m., the house looked sterile, perfect for a fast sale. I drove to Rebecca's office early. She met me in the waiting room, looking impeccably professional. He called exactly 7 times, she reported quietly. He's terrified of the board finding out. I stressed that signing the interim agreements is the only way to minimize the damage and keep this quiet. He's signing the listing agreement, Rebecca. I need this house gone by next month. He will sign it. He's here, actually, pacing the hall like a caged lion. You need to be cold, Sarah. No eye contact, no reaction. This is a business liquidation. She ushered me into the conference room. David was already sitting there, looking rumpled in yesterday's expensive clothes. His face was pale, his eyes puffy. He looked like the ghost of the man I married. He started, speaking immediately when I walked in, desperate. Sarah, thank God. Look, I know I messed up. I'll go to therapy. I'll quit my job. I'll do anything. Just tell me we can talk about the house. We don't need to sell the house right now. I didn't sit down. I stood at the end of the long mahogany table, my hands resting on the back of the chair. I looked at Rebecca. Rebecca, are the documents ready for signature? Rebecca slid the stack towards David. Mr. Davies, this is the interim separation agreement and the authorization for the listing of the property. Signatures are required on pages 3, 7, and 12. David looked from the papers to me, his voice cracking. You won't even look at me? After 10 years? We were supposed to retire in this house, Sarah. You decided where we would retire when you chose that intern. I replied flatly, my gaze still fixed on the wall behind his head. The house is equity, David. It's not a memory anymore. It's a transaction. Sign the forms. He tried one last pitiful negotiation. If I sign this, does that mean the board won't see the file? It means the file stays in my safe, pending the finalized divorce, I confirmed. Any delay in signing or any attempt to contact me outside of legal channels, and the file gets forwarded to HR immediately. Your choice. He slumped, grabbing the pen. He signed quickly, aggressively, without reading. He signed away the house, the vacation fund, and his right to contest the prenup. Now, what about my things? He mumbled, tossing the pen down. Your boxes are at your mother's house. I changed the locks. Your access to the premises is revoked unless accompanied by a realtor for viewing or pre-approved by my lawyer. I didn't wait for his response. I turned and walked out of the room. Rebecca followed me quickly, securing the signed documents. Perfect, Sarah. That was brutal, efficient, and clean. It's done then, I said, already walking toward the elevator. Wait, where are you staying? I rented the apartment downtown I liked last year. I'm moving in tonight. I need space that he has never touched. This isn't just about escaping him. It's about building something entirely new. The house sold in 4 days. The buyer paid cash, closing in 2 weeks. It was a staggering amount of money, most of which, thanks to the enforcement clause, went straight into my accounts. 2 weeks later, I stood in the empty living room of the house, waiting for the final walkthrough. David's absence was a physical relief. The only item left was a dusty bottle of expensive scotch he'd forgotten in the basement bar. I picked it up, walked outside, and smashed it on the pavement beside the mailbox. I got into the car. My new apartment was smaller, overlooking the city lights instead of sprawling suburban lawns. It was mine. I drove away, not looking back at the house that represented a decade of lies. The finality was exhilarating. The lesson was simple and expensive for him. Never confuse loyalty with dependency. He thought I needed him. I only needed leverage. And when a man chooses convenience over commitment, he deserves to lose everything that convenience bought him. I was already working on my next investment strategy. A single woman, financially untouchable, and finally free. The victory was sweet, but the future was even sweeter. I set the final meeting with Ms. Hayes, the property lawyer. The house was already mine, secured by the prenup clauses triggered by Robert's documented trips and receipts. Hayes was efficient, just like me. He's contesting the valuation of the offshore accounts, Hayes stated, sliding a thin file across the mahogany table. He can contest gravity for all I care, I replied, signing a separate document without even scanning the details. I trusted Hayes. She understood leverage. Did he provide the receipts for the trips to Tulum and the supposed consultant fees? Hayes allowed herself a faint, dry smile. He tried to claim they were business development excursions. I presented the metadata proving the photos of the receptionist in a bikini were taken on company time, using a company card. Excellent. Close the door on that account immediately. I need him to feel the pressure before the mediation date next week. No relief, no sentimentality. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with an incoming call from a private number. I knew who it was. I let it ring twice, establishing control before answering, keeping my voice flat and professional. Hello, Robert. Sarah, we need to talk. Seriously. This legal maneuvering is insane. You're bleeding me dry with these demands. His voice was strained, a desperate mix of panic and manufactured authority. He sounded smaller than I remembered. The bleeding started when you decided to take Monica to the Maldives using what you thought was our untouchable joint fund. This is just necessary cauterization, I corrected, him calmly. Don't be dramatic. I want to settle this amicably. Let's meet for coffee. Just us. We had 10 years, Sarah. Amicable doesn't exist anymore, Robert. We are adversaries, and you decided the terms of the war. Use your lawyer. Come on. We can talk about the house, the boat. I want access to the accounts. I need liquidity for the firm. I cut him off sharply. The house is mine. The boat is collateral. You lost the right to negotiate when you violated the contract. The only thing we need to discuss is the speed of the final dissolution. I suggest you comply quickly and quietly, or I release those specific pictures and documents to your board and the press. A long beat of silence stretched the line. He knew exactly which pictures I meant. The ones showing misuse of company funds, not just infidelity. His career was balanced on a razor's edge. "You wouldn't," he finally whispered. "Try me. Goodbye, Robert." I hung up before he could articulate another defense. Control regained. He was a distraction I needed to remove, not dwell on. I wasn't wasting a single minute celebrating or mourning. The leverage was secured, but now I needed to build my new empire. My next move was already lined up. A distressed tech company called Nexus AI. They were severely undervalued but possessed critical intellectual property in my scalable data modeling. I met with Daniel Cruz, the current CEO, later that same afternoon at my temporary downtown office, a high-rise sublet that projected exactly the kind of temporary power I needed. "Daniel, your projections are solid, but your execution is sloppy," I started immediately, skipping the usual corporate pleasantries. I leaned across the massive glass table. He looked haggard, dark circles under his eyes, but his posture was receptive. "Our valuation is killing us. We need a major capital injection to stabilize and survive the next quarter." "I am not interested in stabilization. I am interested in acquisition," I stated plainly. "I will buy 51% of Nexus AI. Full, controlling interest. I will clear the board, restructure the debt immediately, and pivot your focus from the failing consumer app market to enterprise security solutions. I retain you as CTO, but I become the CEO. Take it or leave it. I need an answer by tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Daniel blinked several times, clearly stunned by the speed and the non-negotiable terms. "That's incredibly aggressive, Sarah. You're demanding full operational control." "The market waits for no one, Daniel. Neither do I. You need a solution that works now, not a negotiation that drags on for 6 months. What is your real answer?" He rubbed his temples, weighing the rapid dissolution of his company versus the lifeline I offered. He had no other viable options. I agreed to the terms. 51% full control." "Good. Send the documentation over to Hayes immediately. She will review the contracts tonight. Welcome to Nexus, Daniel. Now, let's talk about firing half your current sales team and which government contracts we need to target first." I dismissed him and immediately called Hayes. The divorce was becoming a background noise. The real work, the sweet, profitable future, had already begun. The only thing I needed Robert for now was the final signature. He would sign, because the alternative was far worse. I made sure of that. The feeling wasn't triumph, it was pure, cold efficiency. Investment secured. Next target. I made sure of that. The feeling wasn't triumph, it was pure, cold efficiency. Investment secured. Next target. Robert's immediate and silent removal. I called Hayes back immediately after disconnecting from the investor. "Robert has an emergency board meeting scheduled for 3 p.m. tomorrow. Make sure the interim CFO, Martha, has the full report on the 2022 Q3 expense account discrepancies, the ones related to the travel budget. He signed off on those, didn't he?" Hayes' tone sharpened instantly. He didn't need explanation. He knew exactly what this meant. "He's going to fight the non-compete clause in the settlement. He thinks he can walk away with half the liquid assets and start a competing firm. He won't fight anything if the board is questioning his fiduciary ethics before the divorce papers are even filed. They need a clean break and a solid scapegoat before the acquisition completes. He's the perfect scapegoat. Martha needs to present the numbers, highlighting how his negligence, or worse, his collusion, could jeopardize the new government deals we secured, the ones I just guaranteed. Understood. The papers will be ready to sign at the meeting, including an immediate, unconditional resignation from all corporate posts. No delay, Hayes. None. The next afternoon, the corporate boardroom felt oppressively quiet. It was sterile, polished mahogany reflecting the grim faces of 3 key board members, Martha, Hayes, and me. I sat at the head of the table. I wasn't the wife anymore. I was the controlling shareholder. Robert walked in at 3:02 p.m., radiating misplaced confidence. He expected a preliminary negotiation, a shouting match over the house. He didn't acknowledge me. He addressed the board directly. "Gentlemen, I understand we have much to discuss regarding my separation from the company, but I assure you, my focus remains on maximizing shareholder value during this transition." I cut him off, a flick of my hand towards Martha. "Martha, please proceed with the financial overview." Martha, a woman I had promoted specifically for her rigor and lack of sentimentality, began detailing the misuse of discretionary funds. The presentation was dry, facts only, but devastating. She highlighted 3 major instances where Robert's sign-off allowed questionable expenditures tied, not coincidentally, to his frequent business trips with the VP of marketing. It wasn't outright theft, but it was egregious corporate policy violation, enough to flag major ethical concerns that, under current SEC regulations, could trigger a full external audit and potentially derail the lucrative government contracts that were the company's lifeblood. The contracts I had just saved. Robert's face went from confident red to ash gray. "This is absurd, Sarah," he spat, turning to me. "You're manufacturing this. You're using company resources to frame me in a divorce proceeding." "Am I, Robert?" I kept my voice flat, professional. I pushed the divorce settlement documents across the polished table. They were punitive, leaving him with little more than what was legally mandated, but they included one vital clause. "If you sign this immediately, you resign all positions, effective now. In exchange, the board agrees not to pursue an internal investigation into your oversight of the Q3 expenses, classifying your departure as amicable resignation for personal reasons." Hayes added, his voice steady. "That keeps your name clean enough for future employment, Robert. You walk away with a small parachute and your reputation intact. If you don't sign, the board initiates a full external audit immediately. Do you want the shareholders, the press, and your new girlfriend to know exactly how you managed the travel budget while sleeping with the VP of marketing, whose expenses were never properly vetted? That looks like collusion to me, Robert, not just neglect." He looked at the documents, then at the board, who stared back with cold corporate detachment. They wanted the problem gone. They wanted stability. They wanted me. He was trapped. The company, the stability, the illusion of power, was more important to him than any fight over property. He snatched the pen, the sound of the plastic rattling on the glass top echoing in the room. The signature was shaky, ugly, a final mark of his failure. Hayes immediately collected the documents. The board members rose almost instantly, nodding to me, ignoring Robert and exiting quickly. They were relieved. The problem was solved. Robert remained seated for a moment, slowly comprehending the totality of what he had lost. His career, his marriage, his future financial security, all traded for a temporary distraction. "I hope she was worth it," I said, my voice low and dry, finally breaking the professional facade just slightly. He looked up, meeting my eyes for the first time. There was no anger, just a desperate sort of sadness. "This was never about her, Sarah. This was about feeling alive, being seen." I felt no pity, only confirmation. "You confused feeling alive with feeling reckless, Robert. That's a mistake you only get to make once when the stakes are this high." I rose, pulling my coat from the back of the chair. "Your keys, company phone, and access badge are now void. A security detail is waiting outside your office to escort you off the premises and ensure your personal belongings are gathered safely and mailed to your new address. Utawa will not be returning to this building." He tried to protest, to argue for basic dignity, but I was already walking away. "The company needs continuity, Robert. You are a discontinuity." When I returned to the house that evening, the silence was immense. I had handled the rest earlier, while he was preoccupied. His side of the closet was empty. The boxes, neatly taped and labeled, were already at the moving company, addressed to his sister's place, the only family member who hadn't completely cut him off. Efficiency demanded I handle the domestic side with the same precision as the corporate side. I sat alone in the living room, scrolling through the new structural plans for the sales team. Hayes was right. We could streamline the process, cut the dead weight in sales and elsewhere, and increase profit margins by 20% in the first quarter. Loyalty is a personal choice. A foundational pillar in life? Yes. But efficiency is the structure you build your entire future on. Robert lacked both. He gave up everything I built for him, and I leveraged his foolishness into everything I needed for myself. It wasn't revenge. It was an acquisition. A necessary business move executed with surgical precision. I didn't lose a husband. I cleared a non-performing asset, secured a controlling interest, and streamlined my life. The hard part is truly over. The growth begins now. If you've followed this story, you know that sometimes you have to embrace being the cold, calculating force in someone else's destruction to become the undeniable power in your own success. I took what was mine, and the silence now is the sound of absolute freedom.